Hi, I'm Andrew Shovlin, I'm Trackside Engineering Director, and I'm here to answer your questions about the Japanese Grand Prix. So first question, I'll answer it in two parts. So firstly, how does it feel to be 6 times Constructors' Champions? Well, Suzuka was a really special day, and it wasn't just the Constructors' Championship that we were able to win, but we've also secured the Drivers' Championship. So now it can only be a Mercedes driver, either Lewis or Valtteri, that can win that. And that was very special for us as a team because no one's actually done 6 double championships in a row. We were able to get back from the race Monday morning back here and actually enjoy that with the team. There were some celebrations and it was just great to see everyone. But there's an enormous amount of work has gone into that over the years. Obviously, initially we were just trying to win 1 championship, then it was 2, then it was the triple, then winning across a rule change. But to actually break that record that stood with Ferrari was really quite a special moment. Now the second part of that question, well, how do we stay motivated to keep going and winning another? It's quite an interesting one, that, because if you think about our racing year, we spend nearly all of it racing, and there's very little bit of it that isn't. And it's all about the processes that are happening week in, week out to understand the car, to solve the problems, to improve it. And it isn't really like we're saying we've achieved one thing now, what are we going to go and do next? We're just always trying to get better and better. We've got fierce competition from Ferrari at the moment. We know that Red Bull are never far away. And again, that just drives us on. So it isn't a difficulty really motivating yourself. It's just hard work, and we know our competitors are working very hard, and we're just trying to keep that level up. And as a team, we know that we can always improve. We know that we can improve on what we did in Suzuka. And it's really that that's actually spurring us on every race and every year. This next question is about why we looked so good on Friday in free practice, so we were the fastest car there, and not so strong in qualifying, only good enough for the second row. It's true, we did look strong on Friday. We had a note before the second practice session from the FIA that was saying that those times would be used to determine the grid if qualifying couldn't take place on Sunday morning. We took some fuel out, we turned the power unit up. I'm sure everyone did the same. But then on Sunday, we saw Ferrari were very, very quick. We couldn't quite match them, and it did look like they'd taken a step forward. We didn't really get any slower. They were definitely stronger. But that could be a number of things. One might be that they've got a better engine that they fit for qualifying in the race than the one that they used for free practice. They may also have improved the car. The drivers might find time in themselves. It was also very windy. And maybe their car suits the wind. So we're not quite sure what that is, but we know we've seen this race and we've seen many before. We're not quite quick enough in qualifying, and we do need to improve. Next question is, how do we prepare for qualifying and race on the same day? Well, that starts on Friday night, really. We were working up until the curfew, but just trying to make sure you got everything done that you needed to do at the garage, because the next time we'd be in at the track would be Sunday morning, and would be qualifying just a couple of hours after that. So making sure the cars were ready to run. We also had to make sure the garage was safe with everything off the ground, such that if there was a flood, we weren't going to damage either the cars or the equipment. Saturday though, we weren't allowed in at the track, so the engineers hired a room at the hotel. We all got together and we just worked through our normal plans, because we normally have a lot of time between qualifying, when you know what the grid is, and the start of the race, to look at the strategies to get everything ready. The engineers can work with the drivers on the balance of the car. And we knew here that was going to be a very compressed time. So we did as much preparation work as we can. We came in, we were ready for the qualifying session. And that morning we were really only talking to the drivers about qualifying, not wanting to distract them with everything that was going on in the race. And as soon as qualifying was over, they were then in another meeting where we were talking about race preparations, race strategy. There's no doubt it's difficult to do that. There's nowhere near enough time to do what we normally do, but we got all the key processes completed. But actually it's quite nice when you get the pressure and the challenge that brings, and you're just making sure that you can do as good a job as possible under the circumstances. And we have a question about Valtteri's start. How did he get off the line so well? Well, it was actually a very, very quick reaction time. And when you look at it, I think what happened was when Sebastian ahead of him went, Valtteri had seen that. He did release the clutch after the lights had gone out, but it was a fast reaction time. And I think that helped him. I think it may have also hindered Lewis, it may have also hindered Charles Leclerc when they saw Sebastian move, because their reaction times weren't so fast. But obviously Valtteri took the opportunity there and managed to inherit the lead. How much damage was done to Lewis's car when the bits from Charles's front wing hit it? Well, we lost the wing mirror, but that doesn't really impact the car aerodynamically. There were a few other chips and bangs on it, but nothing particularly significant. Did it affect his race? Well, it didn't really hurt the performance of the car. Clearly not better, but not significantly worse. And also, because he was never really defending, that wing mirror wasn't a big deal, so he was able to live without it. So overall, we got off quite lightly, and we were just relieved that it didn't go into the cockpit area where it could have hurt Lewis. Why did we leave Lewis out on that first stint? Well, the simple answer is to create an offset with the tyre degradation to Vettel, and that was all we were trying to do. Now, as you saw, Lewis comes out, he's a fair gap behind Vettel, but he's going to be on fresher tyres, and fresher tyres all the way to the end of the race. So that gap gets closed down. Now, we can put that data into our models. We know how the tyres degrade, and the cost over the entire race is just 2.5 seconds. But if you can get tyres that are much quicker, that are fresher, that's what allows you to overtake. And that was what we were banking on there, that in that final stint, Lewis would be able to make a passing move on Vettel. Now, that didn't work, and we need to look at why that didn't work. We also need to make our car better at overtaking, because the Ferrari is a very, very difficult car to pass. And you'll have seen in a lot of these recent races that we've had, we can catch up with them, we are quicker in the race even, but what we can't do is get past if we're behind. So that we're going to work on. Looking at the strategy though, what we should have done was probably stop Lewis earlier, gone for an aggressive undercut. So sticking with that two-stop, but an aggressive undercut, and that would hopefully have put Lewis ahead at the end of the first stint. Why did we box Lewis a second time? Well, this question is about the on-screen graphic you saw, saying that was 70% of rubber remaining. That number probably comes from Pirelli telling the broadcasters how far they think the tyres can go. But every car is different. How fast you drive the tyres affects that. And we don't actually know how much rubber there is remaining on the tyre until we finish, or we take the set off the car or finish the race, and we're actually able to measure it. What we could see on Lewis's car was the lap time starting to drop. And initially he's losing 1/10 of a second a lap, then it goes up to 3/10 of a second for the last couple of laps, and he radioed to say the tyres are dropping. Now, this was an indication to us that we'd had the best of the tyre. You can keep going, but every lap will get slower and slower, and you lose out overall. At the point we had to make that decision, we didn't have all the data from all the other cars that had arrived at the end of the race. But what you could see in this race was the people who made a successful one-stop were the ones that actually took that first set very, very far. There were an awful lot of cars at the end of the race that were hitting 4, 5, even 6 seconds of degradation. And that was just where they've started to get to very low levels of rubber, and it simply can't generate the grip. Thank you very much for all of your questions and for the kind comments about the championship. We will look forward to answering more of your questions after the Mexican Grand Prix.